The child support obligation in this case, $2,070 per month. Do you believe that the support should modify, or are you objecting to the modification?
I'm objecting. I mean, he makes 20-something thousand a month.
After the last order,
Mhm.
about a couple of weeks after that, I was diagnosed with a stage 5 advanced cancer.
There are 2 children before the court who are twins. The mother is requesting another reset in order to retain counsel. I believe there was a reset once before for that reason. So we need to have a hearing on that preliminary issue first.
Okay. I'm not able to access my computer system right now for my notes. But Ms. Alabadi, we reset the case the last time for you to get an attorney, is that correct?
We reset the last time to see about getting everything organized, but I had submitted a motion because I broke my bone and I have a doctor's appointment today. And also because of what Mr. Kamlich had sent me via text message, I called the Attorney General's office and they told me exactly what I could do and to obtain a lawyer.
Well, the Attorney General's office is not asking for you to get a lawyer. You're asking to get a lawyer.
No, yes, I know that. I didn't know the steps.
Okay, why should we reset the case again? We already reset it before.
Because the situation changed. I was hoping to work things out with Mr. Kamlich, but there's no civil communication between us.
Well, that's where I come in. I make judgments.
No, I understand that, Your Honor.
So I don't understand why I should be prohibited from making a decision today.
I just feel comfortable now if I obtain a lawyer, because I'm not just going to obtain a lawyer for child support. I'm also going to obtain a lawyer for some other issues regarding the situation between Mr. Kamlich and myself.
Well, I'm only going to deal with basically a couple issues today. If you want to hire an attorney for something else, that's fine, but you'll have to, of course, file motions for that. Mr. Kamlich, are you in agreement to proceed today?
Yes, sir. I am in agreement to proceed with today.
Then let's go ahead and proceed. The issues we have are 3 main issues only, which are, is there an arrears and how much that is? How much a payment on the arrears if there's arrears? What child support should be for the future after today? And what medical support should be done for after today? Those are our 3 major issues that we need to discuss today. Anything else is not relevant to the case.
I will start by calling the mother. Ma'am, state your name for the record.
Karina Alabadi.
And you are the mother of the child before the court, correct? Or the children?
The twins, yes.
Okay. And the child support obligation in this case is set at $2,070 per month. And that went into effect October 1, 2021. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's also cash medical support of $362 per month and dental support of $60 per month, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still providing the health and dental?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, has there been any change in circumstances of Mr. Kamlich that would justify a modification today?
I know that he's in training right now at a different location. Other than that, that's all I'm aware of.
What does Mr. Kamlich do for a living?
He works in finance in the automobile industry. So he's like a finance manager.
And in 2021, when this obligation was set, do you know where he worked, where he was working at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was it?
It was for a dealership. I believe it was, he goes to different locations, but I think it was the Richardson location, the Toyota Richardson location, if I recall correctly.
And to the best of your knowledge, he's a finance manager.
Yes.
Now, as far as what he's doing now, if you know, is he still working in the same field?
Yes.
Do you know if he's still working for the same employer?
I don't know because they have different locations. So I don't know if it's the same employer, the same group. Sometimes it's a group that owns multiple dealerships.
And do you believe that the support should modify, or are you objecting to the modification?
I'm objecting.
And tell the court why you object to the modification.
Because as if you see the history of how much money Mr. Kamlich makes and how long he's been in the industry, he doesn't make less. Right now, he told me he's only making that because of training that he's in. But once he's done with training, he makes 20-something thousand a month. You know, like it fluctuates, but it's always at the higher end. And I don't think that it should be changed.
Okay, so you believe the judge should deny the modification because it doesn't qualify for modification. Is that your position?
Yes.
Okay. As far as the child support arrears, the arrears are showing as of February the 28th, 2023, his arrears are $38,425.23 in child support arrears. And in medical support arrears, it is $5,645.39. Do you have any objection to those amounts being confirmed today?
No, ma'am. That's correct.
You believe he owes you these amounts?
Yes, ma'am.
The arrears payout on the child support arrears that was set in the arrears payout, do you have any objection to him being ordered to pay $350 per month on the child support arrearage and $100 per month on the medical support arrearage?
No, I don't have any objections to that, ma'am.
I am going to pass this witness and I call Mr. Kamlich. Sir, state your name for the record.
And that's Kamlich.
And Mr. Kamlich, you are the person who was ordered to pay child support and medical support to Miss Olabadi, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start with the arrears on the case. The numbers that I reviewed with Miss Olabadi, do you agree or disagree that you owe those amounts in child support arrears?
I disagree with most of those, ma'am. I've been, after the last order, about a couple of weeks after that, I was diagnosed with a stage 5 advanced cancer and hadn't worked for 11 months. I had called to request a modification and 3 times on record. And I almost literally died on my first 2 months of chemo, that they had to change my chemo, was in a hospital, and then had to go through chemo the whole time of
So,
the
Mr.
11 months.
Kamlich, your basis for objecting to the arrears is that you were in difficult circumstances and you believe that the circumstances that you were in somehow negate the arrears that accumulated that went unpaid?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Judge, I have the pay record that I'd like to offer to be admitted as State's Exhibit 1. May I share my screen?
Judge, you're on mute.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Judge. This is the pay record for this case. Mr. Kamlich, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I offer this pay record as State's Exhibit 1 and ask that it be admitted.
It's a minute. Can you please scroll down so I can see the rest of it?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kamlich, you see from State's Exhibit 1 that your child support arrears as of the end of February, this is where they are, $38,425.23 for child support arrears, and then $5,645.39 on the medical support arrears.
Correct.
Besides the fact that you were ill and were unable to pay the obligation, do you have any other basis for believing that you do not owe this money?
It's just the fact that I was not working for a year almost and was going through the chemo is the main reason why.
Judge, may I stop sharing?
Yes.
So Mr. Kamlich, were the children living with you after this order went into effect in 2021?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So that's a no, they didn't live with you. Did you make direct payments to Ms. Olabadi?
When I could have, I submitted some payments, and so did my mom. She sent her some money to try to help as much as she could, but also because I had to get through the treatment and the payments for the treatment and all that stuff, I did not have enough money to do anything.
So the payments that you said you submitted those to the state disbursement unit?
On my end, I submitted those payments when I could, when I was able to, yes.
To the
The payments that
disbursement
my
unit.
mother, yes, ma'am, the payments that my mother dispensed to her were just between both of them.
Okay. Now let's talk about your current obligation. So the child support amount that was set in the order that was signed in 2021 set your child support based on 2 children before the court, no other minor children, and with mom providing the health and dental. So it was, I'm sorry, it looks like it was 1 other child, not before the court. So it was 22.5%. And the child support amount that was calculated was $2,070 per month. What are your circumstances today that are different from back in 2021 when this support obligation was set?
So I'm not a finance manager. I'm a sales manager. I'm not in training. I'm fully employed since December, end of November, December. I had sent in my pay from then when it was announced, and that's what I'm making. I just don't make, the industry itself is not making as it was prior to that time and prior to COVID and stuff.
Okay, so you're a sales manager now, and you've always been a sales manager, not a finance manager?
I was a finance manager all the way, I believe, to 2018.
And now you're a sales manager?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is your employer?
Stonebriar Chevrolet.
Stonebriar Chevrolet. And how long have you worked for Stonebriar Chevrolet?
Since I believe the last week of November.
Since November 2022?
Yeah, the last week of it.
Okay. Now, back in 2021, who was your employer when this obligation?
Richardson Dodge.
And why did you change jobs from Richardson Dodge to Stonebriar Chevrolet?
Well, I was, my GM was let go, so we had the new ownership and decided to part ways.
So were you fired, or did you?
I was.
You were fired?
I was fired. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. And how much are you alleging that you make now?
I make anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 on an average.
6,000 to 8,000 per month?
At the most. Yes, ma'am. That's before taxes, before anything.
Okay. I believe I have some pay stubs. Let me try to pull them up.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kamlish, is this your pay stub?
I'm zooming into it. Correct. Yes, ma'am.
See if I can make it bigger.
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Sideways. Okay, here we go. And so there are 4 pay stubs. Let me just pay date 3/6. And these pay stubs show pay date 2/21, and then 3/6, and then 3/10. This last one is pay date 3/20, and it shows pay period ending 3/15. So this is for 2.5 months of this year, all of January, February, and half of March. And it shows that your year-to-date gross pay is $31,570.17. Are we all seeing the same thing, Mr. Kamlich?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so $31,570.17. I'm going to divide that by 2.5 months, because this is period ending March 15, which is right in the middle of March. That's 2.5 months of pay. So I'm getting $12,628.06 as your average monthly income.
No, ma'am. If you see on the one for the 10th, it was a one-time bonus for $4,000. And it was a one-time because we worked out through the 5 days of snow. So we had extra pay. That's why there was not one in January, and there was only one in February.
Bonuses do count, Mr. Kamlich, and that's why I'm averaging the income out for the entire period up to this date for the entire year, which to this point would be 2.5 months. So the average income is $12,628.06 per month.
Even though it was a one-time bonus?
Yes, sir. Bonuses count. All wages, overtime, bonuses, commission, that's by statute.
Okay.
Do you have any other minor children besides these 2 children?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And Judge, may I stop sharing?
Yes, ma'am. And State Exhibit 2 is admitted if I did already.
Yes, Judge. Thank you. State's Exhibit 2, I offer and ask for it to be admitted. Thank you, Judge. Let me just write that down. So, Mr. Kamlich, you have one other child, you said?
Correct.
And how old is that other child?
3.5 years old.
And does that other child live with you?
Correct.
And that is your biological child?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I didn't take testimony from Miss Olabadi regarding the amount of her current health coverage, but assuming it's around the same as what it was before, and I'll take testimony from her again if necessary. But at the time of, in 2021, the cash medical support was $362 and the dental was $60. So that's a total of $422. The child support therefore would be $2,033, giving you credit for one other child, Mr. Kamlich, based on your pay stub. So, Judge, at this point, the state would ask for the arrears to be confirmed. I pass the witness. Judge, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my computer to unfreeze on another program. Ms. Olabadi, is the insurance that you have now at or about the same amount or higher than it was in the last time we did a child support order?
Your Honors, $221 and some change every paycheck, and I get paid bi-weekly.
So it's at or about or more than
It's a little bit more, it's not much more, but it's a little bit. So 220 is about 440.
and the dental's about the same or more than it was before?
It's 50, so it's like 108. So
per paycheck.
no, monthly. It's for per paycheck, it's 54 and change. So at 55, so that's 110 monthly.
Mr. Comlick, is there anything else you want to add before I make a decision on your case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So I know you maybe change employers, Mr. Comlick, but your income didn't change very much. It's not very much of a change at all, really. Maybe before today, maybe it changed, but as we stand as of today, it hasn't changed that much. So I'm going to do it based on the new numbers that the state has calculated today. Child support is going to be changed from 2,070 to 2,033. The medical support will remain at 362, and the dental support will remain at 60 per month. You did not make payments there. I cannot retroactively modify an order for something that happened before. Anytime you have a significant change in your employment, you need to come back to court immediately and file a motion to modify. The Attorney General's office can choose not to file a motion for modification. They don't have to just because you ask them to. And typically they will not do that if it's been less than 3 years since the last court order, because they have so many cases, they're not going to probably do that kind of case, because then everybody would be running to court every month or so asking for a modification. You always have the ability to get your own attorney to file your own modification if you have a significant change. And they can probably do it faster than the Attorney General's office. Now, hopefully, of course, you won't have that problem. Hopefully you resolved your health issues. But if you have that problem in the future again, then you can also file your own motion to modify. I cannot decrease your arrears because you didn't make payments. And as I said, explained, I cannot go back and modify it for the past. Your payment was set, and it's your duty to ask for it to be changed, and you didn't do anything.
I did do it, Your Honor, 3 times. I did call
What you
3 times
testified
on
to
the
was-
record.
Okay, you're not listening to me because I explained that the Attorney General's office can take your request, but they don't necessarily have to do anything. You don't have to wait on the Attorney General's office to file a motion to modify. You can
I was
also
in a
file your
different
own.
country, Your Honor.
Well, you're coming up with more and more excuses, but it's still
I'm
ultimately
not.
your responsibility to make a motion for
I'm
modification.
not coming up with excuses. I have all my paperwork. I have all my PET scans from day one. I have everything to show you how everything was done. I have pictures of myself when I was dying at the hospital, swollen out all over. I have
I'm not doubting you
surgeries
there,
all
sir,
over.
but did you file a motion for modify with the court?
I did, sir. I did
Yeah.
3 times
Tell
online.
me where you filed a pleading with the court, not with the Attorney General's office, but with the court.
With the courts, I did not because I was out of the
Okay.
country, but I did it with
Then if you didn't
the
file it
Attorney
with the
General.
court, then we can't change it. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, and you're not listening to me. You don't have to wait on the Attorney General's office to file a motion to modify. You can file one on your own. If you have an attorney, they may even be able to do that without you being present. It depends on the nature of the case, but sometimes the attorney can do it without your presence. But if you didn't file a motion to modify, a judge cannot change it. As I said, the Attorney General's office can choose whether or not they want to file a motion to modify. Even if you made several requests of them, they chose not to file a motion to modify. So I'm trying to explain that to you so that you have this problem again in the future, that you're not relying only on the Attorney General's office to file a motion to modify or any other matter that you want to file. You can file things on your own. You don't have to wait on them. They are a party to the case, and they may or may not file something. And that doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to do it yourself. So that door is always open. Nothing was filed with the court. That's the only thing I can consider. I'm not trying to dispute that you called them, but that still is not what you needed to have done ultimately. All right, so you owe child support arrears of $38,425.23. You got to pay some kind of reasonable amount on that at $350 a month. It could be much worse. It could be $600, $700 a month. I think you understand. I usually use the metaphor for car payments for a lot of my cases, that if you buy a $38,000 car, don't expect $100 payment. I think you would probably appreciate that probably more than the people I usually talk to. So even at that amount, I'm sure that a $350 payment on a $38,000 car would probably not be what would be set today. It would probably be a $600, $700 or worse payment. I think because you owe a lot of money, that's why the payment is high. That's the only reason. If the arrears were lower, then I would set a lower payment. At interest on the $38,000 is about $160, $170 a month. So that would just be the beginning of starting about making payments on it just to break even. Medical support arrears are $5,645.39. I think you have the resource to pay $100 a month on that until you pay that in full. That's my ruling. You're obviously able to appeal my decision within 7 days, or there's a second kind of appeal that can be filed within 30 days. But that's the ruling that I'm making. Ms. Bedard, you have something else?
I do, Your Honor. I just want to clarify for Mr. Kamlich that this proceeding that is before the court, this is the request to modify. It's just a matter of that his circumstances appear to have turned back, but he requested a modification as he's telling the court, and the state filed one. But the circumstances are what they are today now that we're in court.
All right, then y'all are done with court today. You can press leave on the Zoom to exit out. Thank you.